Right, hey guys. Yeah, just going to do a little bit of a video, stripping my bike down. Those of you that seen the videos, I did go to Santa Pod 2-3 weeks ago, and I haven't really ridden the bike much since then. I took it out for a ride on Monday and noticed that it was lacking quite a bit of power. It wasn't idling. Every second I'd let it idle, it just instantly cut out. It wasn't wheeling in first gear. It was struggling above 90 mile an hour. So yeah, I thought there was a bit of power down. I have noticed my exhaust is extremely loose. I need to get some tighter springs on there because I don't have the bracket for the expansion chamber because of my aftermarket rear sets. On the other side, they delete the bracket, so I've got to make something to hold that. Also, the exhaust hanger snapped, so I'm going to order a new lighter exhaust hanger. Because it's something I should have done ages ago but didn't, and it snapped at the top. So there's quite a few things making my exhaust unstable. I thought I was losing a bit of power from that, but I did a compression test yesterday and looks like I'm getting about 75 psi. That's cold, wide open throttle, which I should be getting. I don't know, a healthy engine that hasn't just been rebuilt should be getting about 130, 140 psi. So well down on compression. You recommended to change the piston rings at about 120 psi. So yeah, it's unfortunately long dead. It still runs and rides. It might even start up now actually. I don't know if there's enough battery. No, there's not enough battery in it, fortunately, to crank it over. But so yeah, it was being a bit of a ball ache to start, losing power, not idling, and yeah, what do you expect? Low PSI. So I'm going to, I have my 140 barrel and crankcases back from porting now. I just need to get the crank rebuilt. I'm going to send those off tonight or tomorrow to PJ Motorcycle Engineers in Wolverhampton, and they're going to rebuild the crank, hone the barrel and match a piston. So yeah, that'll be nearly done. I'm not sure exactly when I'm going to build that engine and fit it in the bike. It could be not till the end of the year, purely because obviously some of you may know I've got a classic mini project that I need to get sorted, and also as of last weekend, I've just bought a project Japanese import MX-5 Mark 1, the NA model. So I want to use that as a daily, so I've got to use that. I've got a lot to do on that. It needs a lot of welding. The sills need replacing, inner arches, etc. It needs MOT, so I've got till the 27th of June to sort that out. So that's my priority. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the piston ring on this. Instead of doing a full rebuild, I'm just going to change the piston ring so I can still use it, because obviously it's summer. Probably not going to get that 140 done till the end of the year, just because of obviously got to sort my MX-5 and Mini out as well. So yeah, that's basically what's going on in my life right now. So I've just taken off the the right hand side fairing. And I just wanted to quickly show you guys something. Yes, there's a lot of oil everywhere. I do have a crankcase gasket leak on this engine, but I'm not worried about it because obviously I've got the 140 coming. So don't really bother me, to be fair. I will be selling this engine once I'm done with it. I will rebuild it, change all the gaskets, put new piston rings in it and that, and sell it because I don't really need it. I was going to put it in a go-kart, but I just can't be bothered. I've got too many projects. Yeah, I wanted to show you guys the AFR and the EGT. For those of you that were wondering what these two were on my dash, I've got this here. This is the exhaust gas temperature gauge. It basically measures the exhaust gas temperature. It's useful because if you rag your bike, you can see that go up massively. So it's quite a useful thing, especially on long straights with the throttle wide open. You see that climbing, and you can sort of an early warning. If you get any detonation or whatever, the heat will increase. So you just know when to back off, really, stop causing any damage. And then this one down here is an air to fuel ratio, and that's what I use to set up my Electron carb. If you're having carb troubles and you don't know how to set them up, struggling with jetting and that, it's a pretty good, pretty accurate way to set up a carb. You know, they're quite expensive. You can spend, I think mine cost 200 quid by the time I bought the gauge, the sensor, the adapter and everything. But to be fair, you'd have spent £200 on dyno runs trying to set the carb up. But I've got that gauge forever, and you know, if I was happy with that carb, which I am now, to be fair, I don't need the gauge on anymore. I can bung that up if I really wanted to, you know, put a screw in it, and I could then put that on my Mini, for example, and use it on there to set the carb up, or the MX-5 or anything. So, you know, I've always got that. All you need to do is to weld a bung onto the exhaust. If my torch wants to work, it's just died. Completely typical. But anyway, yeah, there's this bung here on the exhaust which has been welded on by some guy at my work, and then there's this adapter, and then there's this sensor here, and the same with the exhaust gas temp, but you don't need to weld the exhaust gas temp on. You just sort of drill a hole, and then there's like a Jubilee style clamp that puts the sensor about 100mm away from the piston skirt, so it's just after the manifold, and that's it there. So yeah, just wanted to let you guys know about that, in case any of you were curious. I'm also going to get an alley radiator and silicone hoses for the 140 build, because these are disgusting. I just thought I'd quickly show you guys this. I've just taken the battery off, taken the power valve out, dropped the exhaust off. I'm not going to remove the exhaust because I don't need to, I can't be arsed. So yeah, I've just taken this off, and this power valve actually hasn't been out of that engine since I built it 13 months ago. So I've been running on premix, as most of you know, and this is one of the benefits of premix, really. One, this power valve, although it looks disgusting, is not actually that bad, because obviously I'm running premix, so I'm running a lot more oil. This basically stays pretty oily all the time and never seizes, so you don't get that horrible carbon build-up that you do normally on these. So with a little bit of a wipe, this should clean up and look brand new again. And as I said, I haven't had it out in over a year and cleaned it. I'm pretty sure that maybe the last time I took this out was when I did the video on how to clean them, or when I built it. I can't remember which one, but it's been about a year. And look at that, there's no or hardly any carbon build-up on this, and there is very minimal, but it's not very thick. There's a little bit at the side there, but normally if you run an oil pump, you will have to sit there and scrape this with a wire brush for quite a while to get rid of all of that. And it looks like the piston ring has nipped this very slightly. The curve isn't exactly a curve anymore. Maybe that's what killed the compression. I don't know, because I haven't took it out in ages. But yeah, premix for the win. Less maintenance. Put more oil in, less maintenance you have to do. That's pretty good, that is. Happy with that. Can't believe it's lasted so long. Normally these things snap all the time. Cable goes. I've had a year free. A year without any power valve problems. It's beautiful. I don't know whether you guys know this, but a lot of people with this seal that goes on the top of here, I actually don't know which way it goes on. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know whether it goes on like that, whether it goes on like that, or whether it just sits in here on the top of that. You won't be able to see on the camera. I actually don't know how that seal goes on, so if anyone could enlighten me to the fact of how it goes on, I'd be greatly appreciated. I've always put it on like this. I've always put it on like that, but you know, there is a logical reason why I could see it would go on like that. So let me know in the comments which way you do it, that way or that way. As I said, I always do it that way.